Stay there. Let's call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. All right, thank you, everyone. If I could please get a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 4, resident comments and questions. Are we residents? No residents. We have no reports. We have no public hearings tonight, Mr. Merrick? All right.
I'll make a motion.
I would actually let Christy make a motion on the consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, but I'd like to pull 7.6, approve amendments to the employee reference manual.
A second.
Nope, that's perfect. There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 7.6.
I'm trying to pull it up here, just a second. Under section 7 with the hiring policy, let me just get here, sorry. Okay, so I have a couple of comments here. One of these is just to do with kind of semantics for the line. So it says membership on and the crossed off is the local Human Rights Commission, but it doesn't.
What page are you on?
Page 4.
Okay.
This is more of just a grammatical error. We've crossed off the local Human Rights Commission, but it just says member on a blank comma then.
Oh.
Section 20 under the collective bargaining agreement.
Page.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
That was the wrong section.
20 is on page 12.
That's not the collective. Oh, here we go. So it says the city reserves.
Sorry, what section are we at?
Sorry, page 12, and it's the section 20 benefits.
Okay.
So here we reference the collective bargaining agreement, and it says that other employees whose employment is subject to a collective bargaining agreement at any time in its discretion. Are we still so are we, I guess I'm a little bit confused. Maybe you can explain that section a little bit better towards the collective bargaining agreement and what that means for it?
Doesn't it mean that whatever benefits are in place in that collective bargaining agreement that's been agreed to have to stay that way for
Yeah, I mean,
the union employees?
Just trying to make sure I understand the question. So the city council can choose to provide an insurance coverage, but if as an example, health insurance, or let's just say dental, and all of a sudden there's some budget cuts, and the council decides, hey, we're going to eliminate dental. But if the dental coverage is agreed to in the collective bargaining agreement, you've already agreed to provide that benefit for the term of the collective bargaining agreement, so you can't just kind of on a whim say we're going to take it out, or even if you had a reason for it, you've agreed to provide that benefit, so it has to stay within the term of the collective bargaining agreement. But that CBA or collective bargaining agreement is approved by the city council, so you know what you're getting into at the time of the adoption.
Okay. Section 25 is on page 16. This one has to do with a leave of absence. So we have in here that the manager may grant a leave of absence without pay not to exceed 5 consecutive days. And then at the last sentence, it says an employee may not receive a leave of absence of more than 30 days. So I guess I'm a little bit curious as to the 5 to 30 days. There's kind of an in-between point there that isn't addressed.
Sorry, I'm just getting to the section.
Sure.
Okay, I'm sorry, so what's the question?
Okay, so with that, we're saying that the manager can grant the leave of absence without pay not to exceed 5 consecutive days. And then the crossed off, the strike through is the city council shall approve unpaid leaves of absence in excess of 5 consecutive. So that part has a strike through, but then it jumps to an employee may not receive a leave of absence more than 30 days. So for me, I'm wondering what lies in between the 5 and 30.
I think the intention, and we can certainly add language, the intention is that they can approve additional, or the city manager can approve additional time off, but there's nothing that can be approved greater than 30 days.
Okay.
Are you saying that the additional leave would be without benefits? Because,
Well, it's saying that you can't have an additional leave of 30 days. I'm going to guess that has to go to the council.
no. Is that what you're saying?
The leave of absence is without pay. So what it's saying is we're not going to grant anybody a leave of absence without pay for in excess of 30 days.
Because the first sentence says, the city manager may grant a leave of absence without pay not to exceed 5 consecutive days within any calendar year without
loss of benefit.
right, and then it goes on to say,
Oh,
an employee may not receive a leave of absence of more than 30 days.
I see what the error is here. So the city manager, previously it was the city administrator, could do 5 consecutive days.
Yeah,
And then the city council could approve over not more than 30. So really what we have to do is
oh,
just edit that first sentence and make the city manager not more than 30 days.
okay, so just get rid of the last sentence and change the,
First one from
And the
5 to 30.
okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Christy.
Sure. I have 2 more, and then I will be finished. So section 56. Okay, so that's on page 38. And I'm just going by my notes that I have written here. So under the corrective action, I was looking at suspension with pay. Okay, so I guess I'll look a little bit deeper here, but my question as we go into this was,
Are you saying suspension with pay or without pay?
it says,
What paragraph are you in?
yep, sorry, Mike, I can see you.
Oh, you're fine.
Watch.
No, it's more than fine.
I wrote a note to myself here, and maybe you can just help me. So we had a suspension without pay, and I had written a note to myself that what if we incurred like false accusations, like somebody accused another employee of, let's just say, sexual harassment, and those were found to be an unfounded claim. Now we have put that person off on suspension without pay while they're being, I guess, investigated.
Yep.
So I don't know that we should be without pay when we don't have a,
Well, there's in section, on page 40, under section C, the last sentence reads, if the allegation is proven false after the investigation, relevant written documents will be removed from the personnel file. The employee will normally receive any compensation to which he or she would have been due had the suspension not taken place. So there's a provision in there for them to receive that. Typically, when we would do an investigation, I would recommend to staff, and I would take the initiative where I would not suspend them without pay. I would place them on administrative leave. I wouldn't want to put an employee in a position where an investigation would give them the sense that they are guilty until proven innocent. It would be an investigation. It wouldn't be considered a disciplinary action. So that's why you can see there is a previous language that involves suspension with pay, and I just think that sends the wrong message to the employee, because if they're being investigated for something, we want to give them kind of their due process in order to go through whatever investigation is out there. So.
okay. And then the very last one I have is the grievance procedure at the end was completely removed. And I guess I'd just like a little explanation why that entire section was taken out.
Sure. The grievance procedure had a procedure going to the city council, but under the Plan B form of government, council manager, the city manager is, in essence, the grievance piece. So there's no one to go to beyond the city manager in that instance. So having a grievance procedure to the city council is antiquated under your current form of government.
Do we still have the union here for some?
Correct.
And so they can grieve through the union?
They have grievance procedures outlined in their collective bargaining agreement.
Okay. My concern becomes with the group of people who is in the union who has the right to grieve an issue, and then the group of people who are not in the union who have no right to grieve an issue. I just don't know where that balance is. I'm not saying I have any answers to what that is, but there's something that rings a little bit wrong with me when I know that part of the city could grieve something, but another part of the city employees cannot.
That's part of being in a union.
Is there a direction you want me to take, or?
I guess I'm not sure. I understand your explanation of why it was taken out, and it makes sense on that, right? I don't know if anyone else on the council has any comments or feelings on that part of it. The people who are in the union are, I believe their job descriptions require that, or can you opt in and out?
Their job descriptions, I'm not familiar with the term, but they're essentially required to be a part of the union. There's a term where it's pay their fair share, where they can pay a reduced rate, but then not have voting rights. The non-union employees are going to be your department heads, as well as Paul Schultz, the superintendent, and so I understand your point. I'm not sure I'm not aware of any additional provisions. I think the grievance procedure for someone who grieved a decision of the city manager would frankly be litigation. They would hire an attorney. So there's not a...
Can I interject something here? This grievance procedure was only to dispute this city policy, isn't it? It says any dispute between an employee and the city relative to the application, meaning, or interpretation of these personnel policies will be settled in the following manner. Well, we're saying these are our policies now. You don't get to grieve them. If you agree to work for us, these are the policies. So I don't think it really needs, I don't think it needs to be changed. I mean, I'm glad it was taken out because you don't get to grieve the policies. You get to decide, yeah, I guess I can work with that or I can't.
Right. And when you go to the very last page, it has just, I think, 1, 2, 3 in there. It does talk about merit pay awards and pay increases or lack thereof. So that's outside of, are you considering that to be within this agreement then too? Is that how you're reading it?
Which page are you talking about?
If you go to page 42, which is the very last one, there's only a couple lines.
Well, those are the ones that are, those are actually things that are not able to be
there is
grieved,
that
it
line
says.
there. Okay.
So,
Okay, I'm good with it. I just wanted to have you explain
Sure.
those a little bit better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
okay, so the only changes made were,
I have section 7, we just need to delete on, and then section 24, change 5 to 30.
okay.
Could I get a motion approving that?
I'll make that motion
With said changes?
with said changes. Thank you.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let us now move to unfinished business, which is none. And I will turn to Mr. Merrick on 9.1 for new business on 2017 legislative priorities.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council.
You're welcome.
Excuse me. For the past 2 years, the City Council, as a part of your strategic planning process, has asked that staff prepare a draft set of legislative priorities. So you'll notice from the draft document that 5 of the 6 priorities are something that you've approved in previous years. Number 1 related to 212, construction of a 4-lane expressway from Carver to Cologne, restrictions on local government, opposing restrictions on local government budget. So if you think of levy freezes, employee freezes that are coming from the legislature, you've in the past advocated for local control, meaning the City Council would be able to make those decisions. Supporting staggered terms of metropolitan council members. Right now, the governor appoints all of those offices, and so it becomes more of a political appointment, in the opinion of some. Legislation that supports the control of management of water systems on a local level rather than having the Met Council do that, as similar to what they do with sanitary sewer service. And then the last being legislation that sustains and promotes Southwest Transit. The new one that you'll see is number 1, and these aren't put in any ranking order, but that the City Council or the City of Carver in general supports investment in grant and other aid programs that provide financial assistance to conduct flood mitigation studies. And at the heart of this gets at the issue that we've talked about with the Army Corps study, and the possibility of the city having to come up with $200,000 of matching funds to look at the certification of a levy. And Dan Boehm has done a little bit of investigation into that, but what this promotes is whether it's flood mitigation or any type of source of funding to help cities like Carver, and specifically Carver, with grant or other funding opportunities to pay for such a study or help fund that local match portion. So these are the 6 that we developed. We can certainly add or delete or amend them as presented. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions, concerns, additions, subtractions? Motions?
I'll make a motion to adopt
Oh,
the
thank you.
2017 legislative priorities as written.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Well done. Those are a good synopsis. Thank you, Brent. Moving on. We had talked a little bit about the Carver County Transportation Tax Update. 10.1.
Yes,
Mr. Mayor.
thank you, Mayor and Council. In your packet is a copy of an email from the County Administrator, David Hemsey, related to the questions that the City Council asked at your last work session. Since your last work session, there's a monthly meeting of the administrators in the county that is led by Dave Hemsey, and so all the city administrators attend that meeting and got another update. And they plan on having a Carver County Leaders meeting on this topic next Tuesday, the 24th. One of the things that they have done, since the issue is so vast and has big implications, is if they have invited any interested council members to attend that meeting. It's in the Carver County EOC. It's in the lower level, just under the Justice Center. So if there's any other council members or the mayor that's interested in attending, other than Cindy Monroe, if you can let us know, because if we have at least 3, we'll have to post it as
I
a
will be there. I
quorum.
would like to go.
Anybody else think they might be attending that?
That's pretty important.
Might be interested. When? What time is it?
7:30 to 9 o'clock.
Oh.
We'll post it just to be safe.
Yeah.
One of the things that you'll notice in your packet is they have a map of high priority projects. So one of the things that we learned at our county administrators meeting is that they're willing to take feedback from municipalities on priority projects that we think should be included. And so one of the things that I'd be looking for the council to consider adding to that list is an improvement of Jonathan Carver Parkway from 212 down to Ironwood Drive. to make that a 4-lane. I think there's an anticipation that that could be development-driven one day and have a developer pay for that, but I think all the council knows that the costs to a developer to pay for those are exceedingly high, or could be, and that a lot of that background traffic is just created. You know, if you try to get on 212 right now, or excuse me, on 11 right now, at certain times of the day, it can become a big challenge to do so. So that'd be one question for the council. The second is, and this is kind of a major piece of policy that I think the Carver County Leaders Group will be discussing, is within the commissioners' kind of discussion, they've talked about funding, and you can see it within their priority list, using this $3.5 million that they generate in local sales tax to partially fund state and federal roads within the county. So your state roads would be Highway 5, Highway 41, and your federal would be US 212. There's some pros and cons to saying, well, we'd use part of those funds because if we don't supply more of a local match, they won't be done. On the other hand, there are folks that are advocating to say, if you're going to generate local sales tax, that should be used exclusively for county road projects. And so I'd be looking for some feedback from the council on where you sit on that issue. Doesn't necessarily need to be tonight, but that, I think, is going to be a major discussion topic of the transportation tax moving forward, is how those funds are going to be used. It sounds like the county is going to make their decision-making process, so they're going to extend their decision-making process. So I wouldn't anticipate to see anything in February or March as far as the decision goes. They have talked about creating a website and doing some other reach-out activities. They are available to come out to a work session to talk to the city council.
You say they, is it county administration and our representative, or the board itself?
I would say, when I say they, I mean Lyndon Robgent, the county highway engineer, and more than likely David Hemsey and Jim Ishii, our commissioner. But primarily, I mean Lyndon Robgent. He's kind of the guru on how this would work, or proposed to be work.
I get that he's the lead guru on how this works, but he implements a policy. And
Correct.
while he's an extremely well-spoken individual, he is at the direction of 5 individuals.
Yeah, you're 100% on the policy side, where the use of the funds is going to come from Commissioner Ishii and the remaining county board members, and that's a really big piece.
Because Lyndon doesn't get to just go, hey, we're going to use this on state and federal highways.
Correct.
And the county board is having a county board meeting after Carver County Leaders meeting that day.
Yep, they're going to meet in work session on the topic.
Yeah. If anybody wants to listen to it.
So just, if you want me to send something to the county on including that as a priority project, or do you want to wait a little bit?
No, I think we should start right now and say it's a priority project.
Which one, the expanding of JC?
Johnson Carver Parkway.
Oh,
Before
God,
we
yeah.
get
From
into
212
4
to
lanes, 'cause
Ireland.
that's a north-south artery through the county, so I would say, yeah.
Why stop at Ironwood? Why not take it down to 6th? Or even look at a study
Yeah, we can do that.
going all the way out to 50. The main corridor all the way through.
Why take it down to 6 when we've already got 2 turn lanes that we just put in on there?
Because you may as well do it all at once, that's why.
Because at Ironwood, if you narrow it down and then it widens back up like it is now. Why not just have it? Why not just have it all 4 all the way down?
Yeah, all the way to where 11 turns.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
To your proponent for making it all 4 lanes right now?
Mm-hmm.
They do have on their list, I think,
Actually, they do from.
there's a highway, there's a County Road 11 project on there. I don't remember where the
I
start.
think it's from 11 north to 6th, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's on there already. So,
So you may as well just do the whole thing 4 lane.
yeah, okay.
Because if we
Wait.
start talking about it now, it might actually get done. If we wait,
Isn't the study to see if there's a need from, never mind.
The study is to look at the intersection development.
Yep.
And
No, I
It's
didn't-
11 to,
But it's not to expand to 4 lanes right now. It's just a study to take a look at the intersections.
Correct.
All right. I don't think we need a motion for that, do you?
Nope.
Okay. You're not done. How about an update on LED streetlights with Excel Energy?
So just a FYI, excuse me, it's, Excel is going to be taking out the existing bulbs, I guess, and inserting LED lights. So it's more of an FYI to the city council. And I've talked to Vicky about posting some stuff on the website and social media accounts to let people know that work will be
Cool.
happening.
more comfortable lighting.
I have a
And
question
cheaper.
about that. So that type of lighting actually just went in next to Andy's house, and it appears to be remarkably brighter and not necessarily always in a good way. I feel like I notice it more. I know that the other light was a little bit more glowing from the older ones. I know they have the wrong term, but like the night sky or the night, what do you call it when they're,
I think sometimes there's shields that they put on a certain side if there's
there's a technical
complaints.
term.
No, I know what you're talking about. It's
Yeah.
actually in the memo on there. It's like,
dark sky compliant.
yeah,
Okay. Do they do any kind of foot candle measurements at the edges of that? I feel that I've seen it be a little bit brighter, so I don't want to get any complaints. So I don't know if that's something that is looked at with that, or if they're just dark sky compliant and that is good enough.
We can ask.
Yeah.
So you want to know if they're dark sky compliant?
No, they are, but where the light comes down this way, as when, you have the light
Oh.
spill over into
Yep.
yards and things like that. Yes, I've seen those pictures, but I want to know if there's measurements of foot candles at the edges of those zones, so that if people do call and say, why is this light so incredibly bright?
Isn't
that we
it
can
al-
say, nope, it meets this requirement.
it's only
and
going to be
fine."
on the Cobra lights, right? It's not going to be on all the lights, just the Cobra ones.
It's just on the XL lights. I'm not sure which ones are Cobras and which ones are decorative. But we'll just ask them, is the foot candle?
Well, that's not what I'm saying, is it's not going to be in the neighborhoods.
I don't know.
Those are ours.
The ones that are XLs, they'll be replaced. I can ask them for a map as well.
Okay, that'd be great.
So map, and then if the foot candle size or measurement will change.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Merrick. We're to the stage where I say Ms. Monroe.
I guess I don't have anything.
Ms. Johnson,
um,
FD.
planning commission meeting on Thursday night, but nothing other than that.
Ms. Mock,
I do not have anything.
Hank,
Got nothing.
you got a Cheeto. I don't have anything in. I would absolutely entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you all.